Steeler Nation, we are back with another great guest this week, breaking down all things Steelers. I'm Jay York Football. This is Mic'd Up Sports One. But before we get started, I wanted to give a big shout out to Brushes and Beans Cafe. Caffeinate and create at Brushes and Beans Cafe. Visit them at 4550 William Penn Highway in Murraysville. Get you some coffee, get you some tea, enjoy the atmosphere, do some art. It is in Murraysville. Make sure you get out there and tell them that the Sick Podcast Steeler Crazy sent you. Shane, let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
And if you checked in with us earlier in the week, you're probably aware that we did an awesome giveaway. I'm sure Dana is wearing her bleed black and gold shirt as she's currently watching this episode. And it was courtesy, of course, of shopyins.com. Our friends are doing some awesome things over there. Hey, I have this hat, of course, courtesy of shopyins.com, 2 Z's. 50% off your entire purchase, no minimum necessary over there. The number one brand for Pittsburgh sports really is catching a lot of steam. We absolutely love this place. And we're doing another giveaway just for you guys. We love free stuff over here. And it is quite fitting that we're giving away a hat. So make sure you head on over, subscribe to Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy, put in your name and email address on Shop Yins. It's not that much work over there. We're also going to give you a $10 gift card to tack on to that. So all good stuff. And we have a good show today, as Jordan mentioned. All good stuff once more. This guy, of course, you can find him at J Bailey NFL on Twitter. He's the deputy editor, new deputy editor over Behind the Steel Curtain, among 100 other things. He's also an Arby's aficionado like myself. Let's bring in none other than Jarrett Bailey. Jarrett.
What's up,
fellas? It's good to see you. I didn't know that you guys Brushes and Bean in Murraysville. My ex-girlfriend lives in Murraysville. I've been there plenty of times. It's good. So another shameless plug for them. It's a good little spot. I enjoy it a lot.
It is a great place.
But no, I'm glad to be here, fellas.
So we talked coffee. Steelers Bills upcoming. How long should the starters play?
I mean, that's usually the dress rehearsal game now that there's 3 preseason games instead of 4 like it used to be. I like to see them play at least the first quarter. If they get a few good series in and they feel like they can pull them before that, that's fine. I don't want to see anybody out there unnecessarily. Like if we got guys in, late in the second quarter, we don't need any of that. But yeah, I would like to see, give Kenny Pickett at least 3 series just to, get, especially against the Bills defense, who's going to see, when they're fully healthy, they're still one of the best defenses in football. So I'd like to see how the Steelers look against them as in comparison to when they played Tampa last week. It was a lot of, second string guys that started off the game, not to take away from anything that Pittsburgh did, because everything that they did was, I think we needed to see that, especially early on from the ones. But yeah, at least 3 series for the ones on offense. Would like to see some of the young defensive guys get a lot. Keanu Benton had a really good week last week. I'd like to see him get more opportunities on the defensive side of the ball. Would not be shocked if he's climbing up the depth chart once we see it get updated here soon. But yeah, 3 series I think is kind of my magic number. If they want to do, one or 2 more, that's fine with me too. But somewhere around, the entire first quarter, maybe a series into the second, that would be where I would like to see it go.
Well, that was the perfect segue into my next question. You talked about Ben. What are some of the players you're going to be watching specifically? I know we were up at camp, a few weeks ago and talking about some of the guys there, but just, who specifically, a couple players you can pinpoint that you're going to really have your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, Benton's definitely one of them. He had a really good game against Tampa Bay, just exploding off the snap, getting through his blockers and getting, wreaking havoc in the backfield. So I'm excited to see what he does in game 2 of the preseason. Nick Herbig, man, he's been terrific all camp. And first preseason game, he gets a sack and a half. His first step's incredible. I want to keep seeing that because if we keep seeing that, it's going to go from a situation, maybe a year he can become, a really good rotational piece. I think as of right now, he's going to be not just a rotational piece. He's going to be a fundamental part of what they do. So those are the two guys on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Quan Alexander had a really nice game as well against Tampa.
I love that pickup.
Oh, dude.
When I seen that come across Twitter or X or whatever the heck they call it now, I was just like, this is great.
Especially at that position where, we, as Steeler fans, we've dealt with a lot of, Mark Barons and Joe Schoberts and Sean Spence. Like, nothing against any of those guys, but man alive, they have needed. And like, even after, when Devin Bush had the knee injury and obviously wasn't the same after that, and now he's in Seattle. So like, even with the slight glimmer of hope that they had with Devin Bush, that was quickly swifted away after year one. So this is the deepest off-ball linebacker group they've had in a minute, and it's very nice to see how well Alexander, Landon Robertson, Cole Holcomb complement one another. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm intrigued to see. I want to see them use Darnell Washington a little bit more. I know he had one catch in the last game, but try some new stuff. Put him in the slot for a couple plays and see just how unstoppable he could be. In the red zone, utilize Kendrick Green the way we are, like, everybody's talking about him in camp right now, because the entire talk after the second week of camp was, oh my goodness, Kendrick Green's really committing to a position switch to like an H-back, fullback type role. And they didn't follow up on that whatsoever in the game. They plugged him in at center. It was the same old thing. Enough's enough, man. Either he's a fullback or he's a free agent. Pick one, because he's not an NFL offensive lineman. And that's nothing against Kendrick Green, but holy.
I understand.
What's the point in trying it? You're wasting time. If not, what are you going to try it in the regular season for the first time?
Yeah.
No, you might as well try it against a Bills team that's going to be a good litmus test for not just the ones, but other guys who are vying for a job. If you get inside the red zone, what's it going to hurt? Let's see if it works. And if it doesn't, then you know that you can move on and it is what it is. But if it works, then you've got like 4 huge guys that you can go like 13 personnel in the red zone, plus Kendrick Green in the backfield leading the way for Najee Harris. There's no downside to this. If you're going to tease it in camp, you're going to try to like really commit to a position change, show that you're committing to it.
I like it. So before I throw it over to Mike, I just wanted to ask you to finish this sentence. If he has a few bad games, blank will not make the Steelers.
Oh, he has a few bad games. Right now, it feels next two preseason. It feels like Cody White and Hakeem Butler are the two that are coming to mind right away. I would throw Gunnar Olszewski in there because Calvin Austin was listed as the predominant return guy, but Kenny Pickett gave a lot of praise to Gunnar as being reliable, I think, in that NFL Network spot. So I don't think Gunner's going anywhere. I think that he'll make the roster regardless. But you look at Hakeem Butler and Cody White, both who have had like flashes and pops in camp occasionally. I think Cody White's had a better camp. Hakeem Butler, man, like, he was fun in the XFL. He's a big body. He hasn't done anything to stick out. So those are two guys that immediately come to mind. James Pierre, I think, is somebody else that could find himself kind of on the bubble watch, especially with how deep their secondary is right now, because Elijah Riley has popped in camp.
Yeah.
Kenny Robinson has had a really nice camp. James Pierre, you look at the stat line from last game, it's like, oh, James Pierre led the team in tackles. That's because it was directly after allowing a reception that he tackled a guy directly in front of him. So, no, there were times in 2021 where James Pierre was like CB2 and getting burnt down the sideline against Cincinnati and Vegas. I think that he's a guy who needs to have a strong showing these next 2 weeks, or he could find himself getting demoted to practice squad or just all out released in general.
You're hanging out with us here on the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Fortunate to be joined today by none other than Jarrett Bailey. All right, Jarrett, you ready to earn your chops?
Oh, that's exciting, yes.
I've seen you make a bet or two. You're not shy about it on the old X tweeter. So I wanted to see if you'll earn your chops via some Steelers season props. You ready for what I'm going to throw at you here?
Yeah,
I just need some over-unders, buddy. So we're going to start with your guy, of course, none other than Kenny Pickett. And I say that somewhat facetiously. You obviously have been somebody who has not hit that fanboy criteria as much as some of the others in regard to Kenny Pickett. So these are courtesy of DraftKings. Over-under touchdowns for Kenny Pickett in 2023, 18.5.
I'll go slightly over.
It's a good number.
And I don't know if you want to speed fire these or not, but just real quick I've been very adamant about comparing his potential season this year to Mitch Trubisky's in 2018, where he's not going to be a guy that goes for 4,500 yards and 35 touchdowns. I don't think the offense is going to be. I don't think it's going to be that kind of offense. It's going to be a more leaning into the run, short intermediate passes, throwing the ball downfield more than they have. But I don't think they're going to ask Kenny to throw the ball 35 times a game. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of like 22, 24 touchdown passes is kind of where I have him pinned at. So I'll say over 18.5.
Feel free to elaborate on all these, by the way.
Awesome.
We do not need rapid fire for what it's worth. All right, if he's throwing over 18.5 touchdowns, is he throwing over or under 11.5 picks?
Oh, he got really good at protecting the ball down the stretch. I think he only threw like 1 pick in the final 6 games or something like that. I have to go back and check the exact number. I will say slightly under. I'll say around like that 9 to 10 range. So under 11.5. And again, a lot of that has to do with, they're not going to be a team that's going to go, it's not going to be Bruce Arians risk it for the biscuit or whatever the hell, no risk it, no biscuit type offense. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. They'll be somewhat, still conservative, but not as conservative as we've seen. So we'll throw, I think, around the same amount that he threw last year.
All right, there you have it. Writing it down. Jarrett Bailey, Kenny Pickett will win MVP.
He's going straight to Vegas.
2023. All right, let's talk Najee Harris. His rush yards kind of surprised me. They're set pretty low, obviously, although he has a big impact in the pass game as well. 975 rush yards, according to DraftKings. Low, right?
That is low. I don't know.
Throw you off.
Unless that's DraftKings kind of implying that they think Jalen Warren's going to be an even bigger part of the offense, which I mean, it's definitely possible. But with an improved offensive line, I would feel like, unless he gets injured, which I mean, knock on wood, we don't want that to happen. But all goes well, plays in 17 games, over 907. That's like 60 yards a game. I think it's less than 60 yards a game. I feel like
I'd take that any day.
Yeah, so I'll go over 975. Unless, I guess, if Vegas knows something we don't. But over 975 feels safe.
So if you're going over 975, are you going over 7.5 touchdowns? That is what they have him at.
Is that rushing touchdowns or total touchdowns?
It is rushing. Good question.
Okay. I'll begrudgingly say under. I think it'll be right around 7 because I think that Jalen Warren will have, a few touches in the red zone. And all the big mouths that they have, man, you got Pat Fryman, you got Darnell Washington. You want to throw Zach Gentry in there, Connor Hayward. Like, they've got enough guys where they can, try to fool teams, running play action, a lot of red zone threats. I think that they'll try to utilize the pass game more in the red zone. So I'll say right around 7. So I'll go under.
Yeah, and a lot of these over-unders fall kind of along the same lines of where Vegas has the Steelers picked, which is a distant fourth in the AFC North and a team that they think is going to win potentially 8 games this season. So to me, I was staggered a little bit as well by some of these. The next one I'm going to throw out there, I know this might be a little bait as well. I can't imagine a single bettor who's going to go out and smack this under, but George Pickens touchdowns, 4.5.
That feels like it's a safe over, doesn't it?
Isn't that right? I mean, we're living in Overville today.
Yeah. Well, how many did he have last year? He had, 5 last year, didn't he?
I don't remember the exact total. It might have been 4. It's what technology is for. And
so I know that
but it is 4.5.
He's the only receiver on the roster who caught a touchdown last year.
He had 4. He had
4 last year. Yeah, I think that if I have Kenny throwing like between 22 and 24, I think Pickens will probably be in the neighborhood of 6. So I'll say over.
Okay. You want to see? Yeah, I know something incredibly disrespectful is as I was pulling these lines, I was searching for Deontay Johnson's over/under at touchdowns, and it wasn't even listed.
Wow.
DraftKings didn't even have it listed. The guy obviously didn't catch a touchdown last year, but I had to.
How
dig
about
deep.
this? I'll say a bold prediction for Deontay Johnson. He'll catch a touchdown week 1. He'll get one.
I like
San
that.
Fran in week 1.
I like that. I saw 3.5 listed somewhere. I think he's going over that too, just because of the need to feed him down there.
I think him and George Pickens will have very similar numbers touchdown wise. They're definitely the clear 1A, 1B in the offense.
I hear that. All right, a couple more. We're going to switch sides of the ball really quickly on you here.
Sure.
This to me jumped off the page a little bit. It's maybe a bit of a higher number, but never doubting this guy. Minka Fitzpatrick interceptions at 3.5.
Over, yeah. Anytime that he hasn't had to wear a billion hats on the defense like he had to in 2021, he's been very effective. I think he had 2 picks that year, but every year that he's been in Pittsburgh, I think he's had at least 4 or 5 interceptions. No safeties have more all-pro selections than Minka since 2019. Him and Justin Simmons are the only ones that have 3. He's got a nose for the ball, man. If you let him play center field, he's going to find the ball. So I'll say over.
We always wish great health upon these individuals, but I've been burned so many times in over-unders by guys getting nicked and missing 3 or 4 games. That's where these numbers come from a lot. Speaking of that, it's a fair transition into TJ Watt. His over-under sack total is 13.75. I love the 0.75 on there. You never see that. You never see it. But
because half sacks and things. Yeah.
All right. It threw me at first, too. I was like, wait a minute. This has to be an error. So will he get 14 sacks?
Yes. Barring injury where he misses a big amount of time again, yes, absolutely. Especially
Alex Highsmith, 9 and 3/4. Well, he's 9 and 3/4. What do you think?
I think that both of them can get double digit again. Because Highsmith had 14 last year. So with both of them healthy, I think that Watt will get I think he'll get his. I think he'll be in the neighborhood of like 16, 17. I don't think Highsmith is going to have the thing with Highsmith, and I was pretty vocal about this when he got the extension. Like, it feels like he needed TJ Watt to be that dominant force like we saw week 1 against Cincinnati. And again, there's nothing wrong with being a Robin. I think he's a really good Robin to Watt's Batman. So if they're both healthy, I think both of them can get that double-digit sack realm. They could break the record set by James Harrison and Lamar Woodley back in 2008. I think it's 26 combined total sacks between the two of them. So, yeah, if both of them stay healthy all year long, that's a pretty good pass rushing tandem. So I'll say over for both.
All right, last one. You have 1 hour. How many beef and cheddars can you get down from Arby's? Over 5.5.
You know, it might be an unpopular opinion, but whenever I do get Arby's, I only get the plain roast beef. I don't get the cheddar.
Me too. I'm roast beef classic all the way.
Yes, absolutely.
I just like the horseradish. Give me the horseradish and the Arby's sauce, bro.
Absolutely. So if it's just plain roast beef and I get some horseradish,
we'll go with the classic.
I could down until I just decide I don't want to anymore. So what is it, 5.5?
5.5 in an hour.
I'm killing those. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. All right, we'll do that in the next show, Jordan.
Okay.
Now we have to get an Arby's sponsorship.
That's what I'm saying. We'll get him back. We'll get him back on.
Don't worry, boys. Hold on here. It's so fun that you say this because the shirt that Arby's sent me in the mail, extra size for extra fries.
Wow.
Sitting right next to me in my little.
That's amazing.
My little trophy.
The reason for anybody watching this is coming up because I joined. Well, I think I tweeted about Arby's one time, and Jared agreed with me that he loves it, and we determined maybe we're the only 2 people, in the country who love Arby's.
Me, you, and Mike Golick Jr.
Shout out Mike Golick Jr. But so he ended up tweeting Arby's and so on and so forth, and now he is the face of Arby's. Anyway, go ahead.
I am.
Let's look at the AFC. What would you consider? My Steelers are the most underrated team to me, but just wanted to get most underrated and most overrated team in your eyes in the AFC.
Yeah, I mean Pittsburgh is being slept on a little bit. And for those of you who have followed me, I think that I've been a pretty grounded Steelers fan in terms of my expectations in the past. I think I've flipped sides.
We need people like you.
Yeah, I try my best. I think I've just kind of flipped sides of the coin this year because, I've been on record and everything that I've written about Pittsburgh that they're winning the division this year. So it is kind of weird to be on that side of things. So I think they are being very slept on. They got the best coach in the division. They got the best defense in the division. They don't need Kenny Pickett to be Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow. They just need him to be Jared Goff type quarterback. Whereas as long as you have everything good around him, he's not going to make mistakes. He'll get the ball to where it needs to go, and you can win games. So I think they are being slept on. In terms of the rest of the AFC, oh man, let me go through them in my head. Yeah. In the AFC East, I think the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets are being properly, the attention that they're getting is pretty proper because I think all 3 of them are going to be solid and in the mix for playoff spots. No one in the AFC South outside of Jacksonville is getting any sort of unwarranted attention. I mean, if anybody's saying that the Titans signing DeAndre Hopkins makes them a playoff team, then that's stupid because I don't think that does.
Yeah.
And then the AFC West, it's, the Chiefs and the Chargers are going to have that Kool-Aid that everybody drinks every year, which maybe that's one for overrated because every year we go into the regular season saying, oh man, the Chargers are going to be good. And then every year half their roster gets injured and they're sitting at 4-4 midway through the season. Everybody's like, what's happened to the Chargers? So if they stay healthy, they're going to be really good, but that is a difficult one. But I will say this about another AFC North team, and it has nothing to do with, the rivalry or anything, but I think Baltimore going to surprise some people by how not good they're going to be. Like, their defense,
interesting.
Yeah, dude.
I thought you were going to say the opposite.
No, I'm intrigued to see how Todd Monken's offense is going to translate, because if your game plan is to have Lamar Jackson throw the ball 35 times, that ain't going to go well. And it's not to crap on Lamar Jackson or say that he's a running back or like all these, some people do. He's gotten a lot better as a passer, but if you're going to cut down on what makes him truly special is that dual threat stuff, and you don't do it as much, I feel like that you're cutting yourself off at the kneecaps. And plus, all of their top talents, I don't know if they're going to be there at the end of the season. Is Odell Beckham going to stay healthy? I'm not banking on that. I'm not banking on Rashad Bateman staying healthy all year. I'm not banking on Lamar himself staying healthy all year from what we've seen the past couple seasons. J.K. Dobbins has dealt with injuries before. Mark Andrews has had some injury questions as of late. And then defensively, like, I don't know outside of Roquan Smith how good their front seven's going to be. I don't know how good outside of Marlon Humphrey their secondary is going to be. Kyle Hamilton has some potential, but there is a lot of, they got Lamar Jackson, they'll be fine. Well, I don't necessarily think so. I think that they'll surprise a lot of people and be like 8-6 fighting for their playoff lives once we get to like week 15.
And that's would be significant if that happens, because the Steelers had obviously that late game with them.
Yeah.
Week 18? They play them last game of the season, so that could be potentially determining an AFC North, which I don't think. I think the Bengals will be ahead of the Ravens, but you never know. Maybe a wild card berth as well. Am I crazy for thinking the Jets are the most underrated team in the AFC? I think they could win a Super Bowl, and I'm not kidding.
I don't think you're crazy for saying that. I do think that. I feel like there's got to be a middle ground because you got everybody at the worldwide leader just discounting the Bills and saying, New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers, good defense. So that's fine. Like, I get it. They won 7 games last year with Zach Wilson and Mike White, 2 guys who, Mike White is a cult hero because he ate 2 spears, like Goldberg-style spears from the Bills, and everybody loves him because of that. And then Zach Wilson is going to bang your mom. So everybody likes all of that because of Zach Wilson and whatever. Aaron Rodgers coming in, that really good defense. They bring over like Mecole Hardman is kind of like a gadget guy. I like that addition. Alan Lazard's a good number 2 to Garrett Wilson. And then they're bringing over all his friends from Green Bay and just trying to keep him happy. I do think that there's a lot to say for Aaron Rodgers needed a fresh start. And there's something to say for, accommodating what he wants. It's not crazy. Like, bringing in Randall Cobb, who cares? Bringing in his backup from Green Bay, who cares? Have they gotten a little bit noisy for my liking, in terms of like the Sean Payton and Nate Hackett shooting back and forth on each other? Yeah, but I think they'll be good. I have them as a playoff team. In terms of a Super Bowl, like, I would like to see it, play out on the field. Come back to me week 8, and I'll tell you how I feel about their Super Bowl chances. But I need to see how Aaron Rodgers looks back in the offense that, similar offense to what he ran with Nathaniel Hackett, and how this. I think he needs to play in the preseason too, by the way, because if anything that we learned last year, remember Cincinnati didn't play any of their starters in the preseason. They start off slow. If the Jets start off like 0-2 and they look bad, the sky's going to be falling. So I would like to see him get some reps. We'll see if he does week 2. But I don't think that you're crazy for saying that if everything goes well, that they could win a Super Bowl. They've got a 4-time MVP, a top 3 defense, good weapons. Yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy about saying that.
Yeah, we won't turn this into a Jets podcast, but I see there's a lot of similarities to the recipe the Bucs had with Tom Brady coming in with an extremely talented team. No.
Spurting out that Zach Wilson will bang moms. That's just kind of my thing. Talking about.
It's podcast life, buddy. You know how it goes. We could say whatever the hell we want over here.
Oh, lovely.
I see a similar recipe to the Rams as well, bringing a guy like Stafford over on a stacked team and then winning a Super Bowl there too. So, yeah, man. I think, obviously, if there's one thing that does not benefit the Pittsburgh Steelers is how damn good the AFC is this season. No question about it. Hey, man, you're damn good. We appreciate having you on. Can't wait for the Herbig show.
I'm very much ready for the Herbig show. Whenever you need me, I'm here.
Why don't you tell the people, our viewers, where they can check you out? I know you might have a laundry list of, we know how hard you work, but just where they can find you, Twitter handle, that sort of thing, and your writing.
Yeah, at Jay Bailey NFL on Twitter /X. And then, Behind the Steel Curtain for SB Nation, USA Today stuff as well. I tweet out everything that I do, but throughout the season, I'll be doing power rankings on USA Today every Tuesday, winners and losers. NFL winners and losers every week as well for USA Today. and then Steelers stuff throughout the week, a lot of it. So follow me on Twitter for everything, and keep up with it. Appreciate you boys for having me.
Anytime, man.
Thanks,
we'll definitely have to have you on again soon.
We're gonna power rank your over-unders there, so we'll check back with you again. No, just kidding.
Sounds good, boys.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, man.
All right, boys.
All right, Jordan, before we get off here, I just want to thank our sponsors one more time. Remember, Shop Yins, we are doing a giveaway. We're giving away an absolutely sick hat here. ShopYins.com, 2 Z's. And make sure you just get on there and support small business. SICK15 is the discount code. 15% off your entire purchase. The cool thing is there's no minimum purchase necessary. A lot of times you get these discount codes. Oh, yeah, 15% off if you spend $30,000. You can go on and get yourself a great hat, great T-shirt, and get a discount on that anyway. So shout out small business. Really, really happy to have them on board, along with Brushes and Beans Cafe, who we're going to be working with closely all season. We're excited to be in there drinking coffee, getting wired before Steeler games, like you say, running through a damn wall.
Start your day off.
Start your day, start your Sunday with Brushes and Beans, and head down to Heinz Field, not Acrisure Stadium, to take in some libations, some Iron Cities, and watch your Pittsburgh Steelers. You see the address right there, man. So, it's been a good time. Thanks so much for following us on the SIG Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Go back and watch some of our older shows, some awesome athlete interviews we had on there, from Larry Ogunjobi to Nick Herbig to Zach Banner, who just recently got a tryout with the Jets. Good for him. We filmed this later, so who knows if he signs earlier, I should say. So maybe he's on a team by now. That would be absolutely awesome for him. Really, really good guy. And do us a favor as well. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. So many good things to come.
And the Steelers are winning the AFC North. Shane, take it away.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.